Here we go. Another CIRF report. How is everybody doing? And is everybody enjoying their reprieve, grand trines? If you're watching on today, Wednesday, the 29th, you're probably experiencing a lot of that extra emotional energy. Well, the grand trine continues for a little bit, but then we get into more T-squares. Back to the pressure of, this one, emphasis on Libra and Venus. We're going to get into all this. We have a new moon to talk about. It's a pretty exciting week, but it's not without its contention. In the summary slide here, first, if you're new here, we do a summary for the influence, and then at the end, we do a summary for the solution. So this, in my opinion, more important to know what the actions are and how to behave in order to accentuate or use the energies afforded to us, but also good to know what you can expect to feel. And this week, the feeling has to do with, I'm going to start with the I-Ching. It says grace and beauty. And this has everything to do with the Venus concept, the archetype of Libra and Venus and, looking good, beautiful, beauty. Libra also has to do with justice and balance and that kind of thing. And so we're going to explore all that. So that's the blue circle here. It's really big because it encompasses most of the things in the astrology. So as you look into the astrology, we have 6 retrograde planets, and that's going to end 4 of those are going to go direct this month. We have Mercury Retrograde. We have several T-squares, but look, we have an emphasis on Venus alignments, and then we have the new moon in Libra. And there's a lot going on in that new moon. I won't talk about that here. A little hidden one is Mars in conjunct Uranus. And there's a whole sequence of Mars drama as well here. But the point is, the astrology is really focused on Libra and Venus, and I'll show you why. And of course, the new moon. And so that's the purple circle. So the blue I-Ching and the purple astrology are pretty much well aligned almost entirely. And then the Dreambot, hey, it's working again. And we got a huge surge of surge scores, which is not uncommon when it's sort of resolving itself. And now it has to catch up. So we had 189 words in positive surge scores. So that's unusual. Most of the time we're looking at somewhere around, anywhere from 13 to 80, something like that. So anyway, the Dreambot, there's 2 definite sides. There's the cult or control group versus the entrance of the superhero, savior sort of thing. So that's really interesting. But they also have the overlap, which is the green circle that's inside of the grace and beauty of the I-Ching. It's the pleasure and wanting. So that's the other Venus thing. It's feeling good, feeling sensual, experiencing, because that's what Venus wants to do. Not just look beautiful, but be beautiful and wanting the finer things, etc. So now here's where the rub is. So when you look at the overlap of all 3 of them, that's right here. It's this emphasis on looking good, grace and beauty, how it appears, the superficial. But while you're trying to feel that way, you're going to start noticing the things that prevent you from feeling that way or looking that way. And so it's the scars that's going to start to appear. And by the way, I do have another music. I'm trying to make this a habit. I have a song down below in the comments below, the description box. Go click on that song if you want to. Listen along while you listen to the song. And you're going to see why this is important, is noticing the scars this week, knowing what your influence is so that you can behave in a different way. Instead of obsessing about your scars, we're going to obviously do something else. But that's the emphasis, is noticing what's wrong this week. And there's pressure behind it too, pressure and conflict with the T-squares. All right, too much. Let's get into it, starting with the comments first. Here we go. All right. If you haven't subscribed, do so now, and thumbs up would really help us out. But the comments also really, really help us out. I want to give a shout out to the people who got the trivia question correct. Last time we had the trivia question on the solution slide. What is the picture of the bonfire? And we had a lot of people. SM on Telegram said Burning Man. That was the first one out the gate. Knucklehead said it's Burning Man. And teacher coach EV says the fire's from Burning Man. Yes, yes, yes. 3 winners there. So shout out to all 3 of you. And then Ravi says it's from Burning Man, but also says I could never go to those types of venues. Too many people, too many energies. I have some questions for you all. I feel like the higher powers, God's source, are blocking my intuition from sensing things in the future. I am aware I am dreaming, but cannot remember anything. Anyone else having this sense? That does have a little bit to do with today's episode. So that's what I thought was really interesting. Ravi, thanks for putting that together and asking those questions. And there's more there to it, but I want to move on. So other things, I like how folks are putting their own connecting their own dots in different ways. And that's how we get closer to the truth. So Comade says, could the rumblings around the La Palma volcano be linked to this week's CIRF report? I think yes. And I think that you're not the only one who thought that, because Let Us See It Now says volcanoes popping off in the Ring of Fire. I don't think the Ring of Fire per se, but maybe those volcanoes too. I think the Canary Islands, I don't know, are outside or on the other side of the world of the Ring of Fire. But I wouldn't be surprised if those volcanoes in the Ring of Fire or around the Ring of Fire are also popping off. And maybe that's what you're referring to. So, but you guys are thinking in the same context. But then Rita says, the Ring of Fire in childbirth. Oh my gosh. You guys are reminding me of all the different contexts of what the motif was last week. This is also the Ring of Fire, childbirth. So maybe something is being birthed, and that matches just the whole Uranus and Taurus thing. Something new coming. And just a few shout outs to some folks. Wendy checks in and says, interesting how this venture has progressed. Well, big shout out to Wendy for being back. Time in Nature says, thank you, Chris. Lots of energy felt in a positive manner. And she has lots of focus on the future. But once again, the only person in my area doing peaceful noncompliance went out. And I said I don't know what gender, sorry, if male, female, but that's sad. In the area I'm in, I'm in the majority, but thank you for sticking to your highest values. You can't go wrong there. So shout out to Time in Nature. No one you know says Dreambot having a Merc Retro IT glitch. Yeah, maybe. I'm not sure. And it was somewhat correlated to the technology in my practice as well. Rita says, I want to read this sentence. May all of our plans be in the light of the now. We do not consent to their spell and plans. May God's will, our free will, as God's representatives embody on earth now, prevail. So I love that reminder, Rita. Keep it up. We do not consent. They need our consent. It's very clear. It's very obvious, and they're desperate for it. Just a quick shout out to Milos, because I have been quiet on Milos, but he's very consistent over there and says, yeah, love it. And then the winner Today's comment, or this week's comment, is not for me to say. I think with 6 or 7 up arrows, watching on Rumble too. So helping the algorithm and sharing it to others, the report can help. And I agree with not for me to say. Congratulations. All right, let's get into the DreamBot. And this one's interesting because I'm conflicted. I had the top word as the Cult with a nice surge score of 74.4. The Cult happens to be one of my top bands ever. And so I was excited to see that. But clearly it has, this word more has to do with control and, you know, like sort of that drink the Kool-Aid sort of a group. And that's obviously the people who have not seemed to have awareness of deep, dark agendas still, and they're still just walking around in just blind compliance. That's the red arrows. The blue arrows have quite the opposite context. This is enter the superhero with the top word superhero in it, an epic, excuse me, and enter and thank you, and basically saving the day with might and life. So enter and entering are both in there in that context. So it's enter superhero. That's the sort of the savior thing, and that's what we're all hoping for. But I think we are the saviors. I think we are the superhero together in all of this. And then we have pleasure is the orange yellow arrows, is just wanting and want and beach and just relaxing and feeling good and a good experience and wanting experiences and happy. So it's pleasure and wants. All right. So you guys can look at that a little bit further, but we're going to move on to the astrology. All right. This is October, and we're shifting back to forwards because we wanted to show you this. Let me darken this a little bit so you can really see. We have Pluto is going to be the first one going direct, and that's going to be next CIRF report, expected to be going direct. And so transformations are more present and future oriented instead of reverse. Saturn's going to be next, maybe even in the next CIRF report. Then Jupiter and Mercury will be going direct in their respective air signs at about the same time in the third CIRF report in October. And so by then, so about the third week in October, you will only have 2 retrograde planets. So just FYI. At the end of this week, Venus is going to go into Sag, and that's going to be a nice thing for her because she's in a sort of a weakened state. In Scorpio, we've got the Saturn square Uranus, which is always the case. Now, if you think of Saturn going in direct, that's going to actually make this square even tighter. So at its maximum is about 7 degrees orb. And that's going to get tighter as Uranus is in retrograde, but Saturn is going to be going direct, which means that's going to get a smaller and smaller orb as we move through the rest of this year, which that means is the pressure between Saturn and Uranus is going to get even more heated up. And you can see it all across the world right now, especially in pockets like Australia and Canada, and even the US, France, Romania, I think. So anyway, great news out of Alberta. I'll let you look up what happened in Alberta, Canada, despite this oppressive conditions generally across the nation. All right, let's move on. Thursday the 30th, we're going to drill down day by day. And what you see is that this is leftovers residue of the grand water trine. And it's going to be overshadowed because we had a couple days of it. We're going to be looking at this Mercury Retrograde T-square. So now the shift becomes less emotional or less inside of our body's experience with the neurotransmitters. Now it's more trapped up into our heads, and it's might be thoughts of the past or revisiting past experiences, but that becomes a trap in Libra. Maybe, thoughts surrounding like legal battles or justice, or even fairness and equality, that sort of thing with Libra. That's where your thoughts are in Libra. And that represents a trap. So watch out for that. You can see what's happening here as the moon is in a waning state, going to be progressing into a new moon in Libra. And you can see what's happening. So the sun is catching up with Mars. Mercury is moving in a retrograde, so moving backward towards Mars and the sun. And so obviously the moon progressing towards the new moon period. So all these are going to coagulate together into a very interesting Libra new moon that we're going to talk about at the end of this week. Now, who's the main entity for Libra? Well, Venus. And look at what's happening with Venus. Look at all these alignments. You've got two trines. One of them's real brief with the moon. Then you've got Neptune. That'll be there for a while. You've got the square with Jupiter. So, it's conflicted. It's hard to feel the wisdom. And we talked about this extensively last week. And that pressure is on a weakened harmony, a weakened peaceful state, a weakened Venus. And so she's not feeling so beautiful, which exacerbates this look at my scars kind of thing. It's hard to feel beautiful. That's where the scars came from. And we have Venus sextile Pluto. So the opportunity here is a transformation of that weakened state of beauty or harmony or peace. And so reorganizing it, allowing it to reset might be a great thing to do. But the point is, there's a lot of emphasis, a lot of roads leading to Venus on Thursday, the 30th. Then on Friday, the 1st, we have a loose T-square. I say loose because the orb is big, especially with, like I mentioned before, Saturn and Uranus. That's about 7 degrees orb off. So that's a loose one, but it's still there and it's still a trap. So the trap is maybe wanting change, maybe wanting freedom, anti-establishment in the material world, which is the Taurus energy. Materialism is changing. The natural world as we know it, the 3D world, is changing as Uranus is ripping through this area, but also the square with Saturn. Saturn is the status quo, but status quo is morphing into more Aquarius. I mean, if you think about how much time Saturn has been going direct in Aquarius and then retrograde in Aquarius, and pretty soon it's going to move back into direct. So it's a lot of time in Aquarius. So Saturn starts to conform to that home, that sign. And Aquarius is very much that Uranus context of freedom, anti-establishment, eccentricism, being different, collective good, but knowledge, because it's an air sign, logic, disclosure. That's the Aquarian way as well. Disclosure, no secrets. All right, now we have pressure. The closest, probably the tightest alignment is going to be this Mercury retrograde and Pluto. And so this is an overhaul. This is the pressure to overhaul or pressure to transform thinking. And this is, of course, going to regenerate some of these old thoughts that I mentioned before, spending a little bit of time rationalizing the past. And that's the pressure that comes with this need to transform. On Saturday the 2nd, we have another T-square, this time on Venus, on the weakened beauty, the weakened harmony. And you can see that there's that square with Jupiter, and now another square here with the moon forms another T-square. So you've got 3 days in a row where it's contentious, it's pressured, there's more conflict around these archetypes. And on the second, on Saturday, the archetype more is trapped in this inability to see your beauty, and inability to recognize what's not beautiful or what's not harmonious. So it's easy to see conflict in these days, even trapped in it, this feeling of, oh, we're never going to get harmony. We're never going to get peace. I wouldn't be surprised if some of you feel that on the second. Other things that I want to point out is that as we progress towards the new moon still waning, then Mars and the sun are not only getting closer longitudinally or laterally, but also longitudinally. So in the same space of sky, we call this parallel. And obviously you're not going to be able to see the Mars because it's the sun, too close, too bright. But we're only talking about 2 degrees away. So we call that combust. And we have a weakened Mars that is fighting for peace, if there is such an oxymoron, fighting for peace. So that makes Mars a little bit weak. And if you want to put that into your personal life, just your general yang is weakened. So probably not feeling as confident, not feeling like you can carry out the needed tasks. And this energy together, Mars in Libra, might feel like, to some, like more of a Virgo energy when you combine it together, because you second guess yourself. You're like a lot more shoulds in there, but inability to really carry it out. And so now we have that weakened Mars is in combust. So it's getting even weaker, because when we get too close to the sun, you get sort of on fire, and it weakens whatever entity that is. Well, this is a hyper combust because they're on that same I guess it is a latitude of the sun. So those are together and getting even closer. So now when they get Cazimi, that's when Mars gets really close, within 17 minutes of the sun. And then it sort of explodes into like all powerful. So you might have this brief period of, we'll talk about that later in next CIRF report, where the Mars and sun get so close that it accentuates that energy. And the sun just emanates. Well, sun is sort of weakened as well in a fall in Libra, but I don't know how you get that degree of fidelity, but you suddenly have this exponential, powerful Mars for that brief period where they're within about 17 minutes. All right, we talked about Venus T-square, and then the weakened Yang, Mars combust, and the parallel. So let's move on. Sunday, the 3rd of October. Did I welcome you to October yet? No. So welcome to October. And we have Mercury in retrograde still, and trine Jupiter. So now we have a complete mind, but the logic part of ourselves is past oriented. And we have but full mental capacity, because this is ease. It's the lower end of the mind with the higher end of the mind, easily assimilated together. Things make sense. Rational things are wise. We can translate logical things from the past, that's Mercury retrograde, into positive wisdom, higher learning, all those kinds of things. That becomes easy. Even though Mercury square Pluto is still a thing, and feeling, pressured to change, pressured to transform, etc. So then on Monday, I want to shift your attention. This is the 4th. Shift your attention now to the Mars in conjunct to Uranus. And Uranus is change. So your very weak yang Mars in Libra and Mars combust, it's an extra weak Mars, extra weak yang, adjust to freedom in the material plane. That's the Taurus part. So freedom loving, eccentric, being different, enjoying your difference is putting a big emphasis on this weak warrior, very weakened warrior. So has a very impressionable imprint on that yang energy. And then that's only going to get stronger and stronger as we get into this new moon period. And you can see Mercury still marching towards Mars, towards the sun, and vice versa. So those are coming together, actually. Let's move on to Tuesday the 5th. And we have, remember all the emphasis on Venus? Well, all those alignments have dried up. There's only a waning Pluto sextile, so still an opportunity there. But the emphasis clearly is shifting more up into Libra, where you got 4 planets. They're all coming together, and they're all developing that in conjunct with Uranus. And it's a really, really tight in conjunct. Look at so Mars is about 13 degrees. He's going to go a little bit further before the sun catches up, but they're going to be really tight, especially Mars going to be super tight, almost a perfect in conjunct with Uranus. And so that energy, that change energy, that adjustment, I mean, you've got change with Uranus, but you've also got change with the in conjunct. It forces an adaptation. You're adapting. The ego is going to be adapting. Your yang, your weakened yang is going to be adapting. So exciting times. And then on Wednesday, here's our full moon. This is at 6 a.m., 6:05 a.m. This is Central Daylight Savings Time. The 6th here, you've got the new moon just below the horizon, about to rise together with the sun. As soon as you see the sun, you won't be able to see the moon, obviously, but she's right there. And Mars is also right there, but you won't be able to see him. And you can see that we're not quite into the 17 minutes. We're looking at 59 minus 25. So in the next CIRF report, so that would be the Thursday, the 7th, into that, you're going to see a couple of days of Cazimi Mars. So in a weakened Libra, so it'd be interesting to see how a super powerful Mars, but weakened in Libra, is going to play out. It's something that you don't see all that often, but it should be interesting. So the new moon in Libra has a new phase, a new period of time where it's emphasis on equality, balance, justice, people going to pay for crimes against humanity, people wanting justice. So you're going to see a lot of accusations both ways, actually. All right. And you can see Mercury retrograde is in on this. All 4 of these are in a conjunction. The loosest is the Mercury. And then you've got, obviously, Mars, Sun, and Moon are all at 13 degrees and change. And so in conjunct with Uranus, 13 degrees, 56 minutes. Look at that. At the exact time of the new moon, Mars, 13 minutes, 59 minutes. So it's just 3 minutes off of a perfect conjunction with Uranus is Mars. So this is very profound, a big change. I'm going to hammer this home. You can expect some massive adjustments in your emotional body. And that's not just this snapshot. That's not just this time. This is the snapshot that will be through this entire period of this moon period. So at least next 30 days until the next new moon. But ego is also adapting. Look at that. What did I say? The ego? Hopefully I said the ego, not the moon. The ego is also adapting to the in conjunct with freedom, loving, anti-establishment Uranus. So it's a massive, massive adjustment in this entire moon phase of your yangness, your ability to carry out new tasks in peace, harmony, beauty, love. Also your ego sense of balance, your ego sense of justice and equality. All that's adapting to freedom, eccentric, etc. So many times I've talked about this stuff, but you get it. It's massive adjustment here for that entire period. So beautiful stuff here, in my opinion. Beautiful, beautiful. All right, let's take this highlighter off and get into the I-Ching. Now, when we cast the coins, we get a hexagram with no change lines. That means in our CIRF reports, that means that the influence is also the solution. So the big emphasis, not just on influence, but also the solution, is gate 22, hexagram 22, grace and beauty. A splashy sunset bathes the mountains in a soft radiance. The light of a full moon dances on the surface of a rippling river. Well, it's not a full moon, but it's a new moon. Grace and beauty. It's a new moon in Libra, so it's just amazing how this overlaps. But grace and beauty adorn the natural world. Grace is neither an all-powerful force nor an essential or fundamental thing. By itself, it is a form without content. It just is. Yet grace brings artistic expression into the world. That'll be one of our solutions. And enhances the quality of our lives. Grace brings success in Grace brings success in small matters. Grace is aligned with mastery of aesthetic and cultural forms honed by time and honored by tradition. Through appreciation of graceful forms in human culture, we apprehend the pure beauty of the ideal, of life raised above the struggle for survival. Oh, I love that statement. Of life raised above. So we're going to transcend, even with these T-squares this week, we're going to be transcending. If you can do the solution correctly, you're going to be easily transcending this sympathetic nervous system, this fight or flight thing, this need for survival, in amidst a very tumultuous time period in human history. Take care to lend grace and dignity as small matters while giving the weight of deep and careful consideration to matters of great consequence. Though artistic flair should not be confused with true substance, it can take one far in this world. Now, I apologize. I'm going to be reading this entire unchanging thing because it's important. And it transitions towards our solution. Some more behavioral components here. So listen in for the behavioral components. Grace on the outside equals heart and mind made manifest. In some cases, grace will come unchanging as a message about forgiveness. Sometimes we are given a break even when we may not deserve it as grace shines upon us. Other times, grace unchanging can be a message that the situation is blocked by superficialities, as if appearance is held higher than the truth of what is actually transpiring. Ooh, this is so close to what's happening right now. You may not realize that your own bitterness is causing the world to appear as a glass half full. You may be looking for answers as to why something isn't happening or someone isn't responding when the situation has resulted from your own actions and thoughts. Do not fall prey to believing that the projections you place on others are real. Open yourself to life's grace and benevolence. Celebrate your inner grace and allow it to rise to the surface. I'm going to read that one more time. Celebrate your inner grace and allow it to rise to the surface. This is below the scars. Unleash any expectations and flow in the dazzling river of life. The greatest makeover begins within. If you want to be attractive, adorn yourself with grace that resonates from the sincerity of trusting the way. I love that. And you're going to love the summary even more. But let's put it into the calculator, the conversion calculator. And you've got the new moon right there at 13 degrees. It's in Libra, tropical Libra. You end up with 48, the rave mandala 48. And you've got Virgo as the solution for the sidereal. So 48 is the gate of the depth. Isn't that interesting? So it's below the superficial. The well opens up. The possibility of expression through its potential connection to the throat. That's the communication mechanism and the expression mechanism. Without depth, the common good can never be established. Let's read that again. Let's think about what's happening here. Grace and beauty implies outside, but we're talking about the grace deep within. So without that deep depth, without that depth of grace, the common good can never be established. So we are responsible for going deep within this week, but not just for anything, not shadow work. We're going in for grace. We're bringing in the beautiful, authentic self out to the world. And this emanates through the scars that you see from the outside. So the trick is the grace and the beauty of Venus and Libra, especially a weakened Venus, is going to make you feel like you've got flaws. And there's the exterior and there's the superficial, but I can't get this done. I can't reach harmony. Everyone else is conflicted. That's the block. So we really need to get down into the depth to pull out the grace. So let's keep on reading. Its nature is determined by the format of focus and concentration on patterns. Not surprisingly, it is through the arts that the need for correction in society is so often a theme. There's going to be an opportunity for you, is the arts. The well is depth that is available in the moment based on the potential to judge a situation in the now. The keynote of the collective circuits is sharing. This depth, whether vital information or trivial, is always being shared. So not only do we have to get inside depth and get the grace, but we also have to share that outward. All right. Now you get in deeper to the line, and it's line 5 because the full moon is at 13 degrees, 25 minutes. Also, Mars is in 13 degrees, 59 minutes. So still within the same line. That's action. So, I didn't check to see if Mercury was in there, but yeah, let's just leave it at that. We have line 5. We have 3 planets there. We have Moon, Sun, and Mars in line 5. So it's action. And now you got how does that fit? You've got Sun is action, Mars is action, but they're both weakened, and Mars is extra weakened now in Libra, in combust, and you want us to act? Well, here's the answer. This is beautiful. The natural urge to apply energy to action, a taste for action. Basically, that's the upside. Basically, when you do this, I'm gonna put all this stuff together easily, hopefully, so that you can know exactly what it is that you're looking for. But when you do this inward, going inward past the scars, going deep, and then you share it, understanding influences a need for action or a taste for action. Now, on the flip side, here's the downside risk. An over-reliance on the need for protection that in times of social renewal is obsessed with the details of planning at the expense of action. Insecurity with one's depth that can fail to take action. So, oh my God, I mean, I can't believe how much this overlaps. But basically, we can get stuck on the superficial place or in the cognitive space of planning, because you got to plan all this out. And the rave is saying, no, all you have to do is go in, past the scars, don't get stopped by the scars or the exterior, go in deep, pull out the grace and share it. And when you share it, the action is automatic. Unless you feel the need to plan at the expense of action. It will, in other words, it will thwart your ability to actually do something, especially in times of social renewal, which is right now. So not much planning is needed. It's, let me just go ahead and get to the summary slide, and I'll break it all down for you. Hang on. This is the most important part. All right. For inner peace, make sure you go to interzention.com and sign up for services. We have astrology. We have a new clinician. Angie is getting through the training and certification process, and we might have free spaces while she gets her certification hours. So if you're interested in hypnotherapy, go into interzention.com and get a hold of us. All right, here's the summary slide. Someone's shoulder, and it's implying that when you are focused on the scar, we want to fix it. We want to get rid of the scar. And that's not what the solution is this week. If you want to go, if you have something planned to fix your scar, go do that. But the point is, the solution this week is about not getting caught up on the exterior, not getting caught up on the superficial, because this is the solution triangulation. We had the I-Ching 22. It says grace and beauty. Notice that appreciate graceful forms. Situation blocked by superficialities. When you are blocked by something very superficial, like someone is looking at you wrong, or it's just a piece of cloth of your breathing apparatus, superficiality means there's something deeper this week. So it's about letting the inner grace rise to the surface, foster authentic trusting of your path forward. It will breed action. The Rave Mandala said the depth is to be shared outward for understanding. I mean, all this stuff is direct overlap. Even the Sidereal Virgo is being able to discriminate and detailed and analytical. Now, the downside to Virgo is that they can be, really uptight, and they can then tend to get caught up in the superficialities and the low-hanging to-do items. That's not where we want to be. So here's how we work out the overlap in the very middle. Venus and Libra energy dominate this week, as I've demonstrated. Inside that archetype, it's the elegance that appears the highest priority. It's the elegance that appears the highest priority. That's just because of the Venus and the Libra energy. That's what they want to feel and appear. They want to appear. There is a pun there because it's all about appearance. But as always, it's the depths that hold the answers and the ultimate insight. The overlap in solutions this week is very clear. Use your keen Virgo senses to locate any or all superficial inconveniences, blocks, damage, etc. Now, this doesn't have to do with just your physical scars, mental scars, your internal scars. It also has to do with, you have this roadblock when you're going to work and it seems superficial and they're just cosmetically changing the road and it causes traffic problems. That can be a sign that there's something deeper located in you. So notice your under the breath complaints, like the minor frustrations. Notice those. Don't just breeze through them. Oh, it's just a traffic block. Oh, I'll just look on my social media as I wait. No, this is the time to go within and pull out your grace. Instead of ignoring it or pretending it doesn't exist, your task is to bring it out in the open and shared. But share it with grace and beauty. Consider the arts for maximum effect. That's from the rave. And that's actually the rave and the I-Ching. Sharing should open the door to deeper, more substantial insights, potentially life-changing understanding of your key solutions, because that unlocks the action. The action becomes automatic, even with a weakened state of Mars, even with a weakened or a fall state of ego and Sun in Libra. Then you unlock the rave, which action becomes pure and automatic. So the main lyrics of the song for this week is, under your scars I pray, you're like a shooting star in the rain, you're everything that feels like home to me, yeah, under your scars. Yeah, it's more of a romantic song, but think of this as romantic with yourself or connecting with the inner parts of you. It's becoming the deep inner grace is the most feels like home to you. This is feeling comfortable in your own skin through the depths. So don't get caught on the exterior. Don't get caught in the superficial, but rather go within and then share what's in there emotionally, but with grace and beauty, not offensively. That's just the core, authentic you. That's the most graceful. That's the most beautiful part of your aspect, is the deep stuff, Share it, and then the action item becomes automatic. All right. So it could be tough for some, but I think a lot of you are going to have a lot of fun with this. I think I am too, because as an Aquarian, Gemini, I do a lot of observing in self without really sharing. So this will be interesting. All right, everybody, that's all I got. I hope everyone is having a transformative period this year. And thanks for coming along with these CIRF reports. I appreciate each and every one of you. And I am so glad that you're getting benefit from this. Thank you. Let me know what else I can do for you. All right. We'll see you next week. Bye.